One of the biggest genres in the 70s and 80s was the good old sex comedy. With movies like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds being huge at the box office, there were many others that tried to follow the trend. Some of them succeeded, but were subsequently buried and forgotten when it came time for them to get a DVD release. So here's a bunch of sex comedies that are entertaining, filled with the good stuff, but many of these sadly never made it past VHS, at least as of my time of writing this. Preppies. Preppies is a 1984 sex comedy from director Chuck Vincent. Vincent was an adult film director who also directed a wide variety of sex comedies and erotic thrillers. Hey, guy knew what he was good at and stuck with it. The movie's about 3 college students that need to pass their final exams. If they do, they'll be able to inherit their family fortunes. However, their families don't want that to happen, so they hire 3 beautiful women to distract them as much as possible so they fail. Hilarity and nudity ensues. The movie was one of 10 films that Vincent was hired to make for the relatively new cable channel, the Playboy Channel. They were trying to expand their catalog to be more than just your standard Playboy fare. The movie was filmed in and around Manhattan with local New York actors, one of which was Kat Shea, who would go on to work with Roger Corman, which led to her directing the film Poison Ivy, the movie that resurrected Drew Barrymore's career. Surprisingly, the critics were kind to the film. They called it amusing, and more recently, Complex Magazine rated it as one of the best raunchy teen comedies. Since the movie went right to Playboy, there's no box office numbers, but it did well enough that it later ended up on the other cable channels. The movie's silly, lighthearted, and fun, something we need a little bit more of these days. Unfortunately, Preppies is not available anywhere. It never made it past VHS, but hopefully Vinegar Syndrome or Severin picks it up. It's not streaming on any service that I could find. Lauderdale. Lauderdale's a 1990 sex comedy written and directed by Bill Milling. The movie was originally released as Spring Fever in 1989, and it flopped. So they retitled it to Lauderdale and re-released it in 1990, where it did a little bit better. Lauderdale's about Larry. He's a college student that chases his dream girl all the way to Florida. The dream girl, Heather, is played by adult actress Janine Lindemuller early in her career. Lindemuller was a model who moved into acting, mostly in this sort of film. Lauderdale was her first starring role. It also showcased her singing, which is not completely terrible. After her career in sex comedies and softcore didn't work out, she moved to adult films, where she became known as one of the best female adult stars in the industry. The movie hit theaters the second time on June 28, 1990. The movie's filled with the usual sex comedy stuff. Guy's in love with his dream girl, but meets the real love of his life while chasing this other one. All while having some random nudity every so often, as well as a hot oil wrestling scene, because why not? These kinds of movies understand what their audience is tuning in to see. The comedy is occasionally funny, but the addition of the character of Animal, the big doofy friend, gets old kinda quickly. The movie did get a DVD release under the original title Spring Fever USA, although good luck finding it. It's not available for streaming, and it's not on YouTube. Wimps. Wimps is a 1986 sex comedy directed by Chuck Vincent. Yep, he's back. Revenge of the Nerds was one of the most financially successful films of 1984. On a $6 million budget, it made over $60 million. This largely is one of the movies that prompted the resurgence of these sex comedies in the mid-80s. So Wimps is a pretty obvious attempt to capitalize on this. Although aside from the title, the two movies are very different. Well, the story's different anyway. Wimps is about Francis, a nerdy college kid who's forced to help a jock write love letters to the hottest girl at school in order to win her over. The wimp is, of course, really in love with her, and he tries to figure out a way to get her to realize that he's the one behind writing the letters. You're probably familiar with this plot, as it's the story of Cyrano de Bergerac, repurposed for the umpteenth time. They even use the name Roxanne for the perfect girl. Speaking of, the stunning 5'7" Tracy Adams plays Roxanne, the campus goddess. Adams was already a well-established adult star by the time she took this role. With 275 credits to her name, only about 5 of those were non-adult titles. In those films, she went by the pseudonym Deborah Blaisdell. The movie was released on October 17th, 1986. It was filmed mostly in Long Island, New York. It's another silly, fun film from Vincent, who really was on fire here. Wimps never made it past VHS, and it's not available for streaming. Body Waves. Body Waves is a 1992 sex comedy from director P.J. Pesci. The movie's about Rick, a teenager growing up in a rich household. He bets his father that he can survive without his money and invents a special cream that makes him super rich. Goofy moments and boners ahoy! This is one of the many sex comedies produced by Roger Corman. Although in this, it's your typical juvenile, gross-out, boob-filled comedy, which often did quite well at the box office back then. The movie has a few actors who you may not expect to see in this kind of film. Larry Linville from MASH, Dick Miller from just about every movie ever made, and Leah Lale, who'd go on to play Kay in VIP. Body Waves was released on May 28, 1992. The movie never made it past VHS, and it's not available for streaming. Pick Up Summer. Pick Up Summer is a 1986 comedy from director George Mihalka. The movie originally went by the title Pinball Summer, but they changed it to Pick Up Summer since the pinball craze was dying down. The movie's about two teenagers, Greg and Steve. They spend their summer playing pinball and chasing girls. Two very popular things to do back then. Two of the girls they go after are Donna and Susie. Although this summer, they also escape a biker gang from the Blue Oyster Bar. This is some good old Canucksploitation sex comedy. At the local arcade, they discover there's a huge upcoming pinball competition that'll end with the Ms. Pinball pageant. Nudity, hijinks, and hilarity ensue. The movie was picked up for distribution in the US by Film Ventures, who are the ones who changed the name because by 1980, the pinball fad was no longer a thing in the US. The movie hit theaters in the US on March 18, 1981. The movie was shot in Quebec, which they passed off for LA. It's another silly, dumb movie with all the usual things. Pick Up Summer did get a DVD release, and you can find it on a triple pack with Hot Times at Montclair High and Busted. It was on Hulu at one point, but not anymore. It might pop up on Tubi or something, but it's not there currently. If you'd like to see the bonus 6th entry, as well as the ability to vote on future entries, please join my Patreon. Lots of other perks there too. That's some good old-fashioned sex comedies for you. They don't really make these kinds of movies anymore. I'm sure I missed some. What are your favorites? Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.